I think it's important to have them as part of that conversation, because for me to evaluate their artwork, it seems really moot. It's much more valuable for them to understand, how do they learn? What are their strengths? What would they like to get better at? I mean, I feel like that I would like them to be able to articulate that. For me to articulate that I just don't think it's as valuable. I think for a child, even early on, to be aware that they're a visual learner, they think better in a quiet place. They come up with ideas better there, or they work better with a group, or they're pretty aware when you ask them. And if you start having those conversations, and I did borrow Todd Elkin's kind of chart that he did with his high school students of, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses as an artist, and then he had another ring on this that he had the students do of, what are the steps you'd like to take to grow in those areas. So I tried this with, I think, second grade and up. And I had them write, what are your strengths, what are your challenges? And it was really interesting for me to see what they wrote, and for them, I think, to see, what they'd like to get better at as well. And we did it right on our portfolio, so we don't lose it, and we can kind of come back to it throughout the year. And they're going to take their portfolio home at the end of the year also. So they'll have that, and I think it'll be interesting year to year, how their focus changes and what they feel like, And it is interesting seeing how many kids say drawing. They want to get better at drawing. A lot of kids still think, being able to draw well means you're a good artist. And I think that's interesting for me to keep seeing that, and to know I need to keep talking about that.
So how do you talk about that?
Well, I think I talk about it when it comes up naturally. And I love to draw, and I think it is an amazing skill, and it's definitely a foundation of art. So I don't mean to say that it's not valuable. And I spend a lot of time. We spend time working on drawing, but it's one part of this giant umbrella of creative thinking. And I tell the kids, when I was a kid, I was not a strong drawer, and no one said, Emily's the artist in the class. I never had, no one was ever like that with me. And I think it's good for them to hear that, and they're kind of surprised to hear that. But drawing is a learned skill. Anyone can learn how to do it. And it's like anything else. There are some kids that are naturally inclined to pick it up quicker, but it doesn't mean you can't learn it if you don't try. But what I want to emphasize, the most important thing is, how do they approach problems? What do they notice? What are they curious about? How do they get ideas, and how do they follow on those ideas? How do they show me something that I haven't seen before? I mean, those are the things that are really important, that are going to be long lasting. And I feel like, some of the kids get really hung up on the drawing thing. And I think the more time I have with them, hopefully that'll become lesser of an issue. But I also offer a wide range of problems for them, like spatial. We do some stop motion animation, which they love that. You don't have to do any drawing. And I tell them there are a lot of artists that can't draw. It doesn't mean you can't be an artist. So I think giving them a lot of obvious, like this disclaimer, like, let it go. Just keep trying, do your best, but don't give up on art if you feel like it's not your strength in drawing.